Now back to the Frank Beckman Show on News Talk 760 WJR.
25 after 9, we had Mike Bouchard, the sheriff of Oakland County, out a moment ago. He remains on the line with us, now joined by Sheriffs Warren Evans of Wayne County, Mark Hackel of Macomb County. Sheriff Evans, good morning to you.
Good morning, Frank. How are you?
Very well. Good to talk with you again. Sheriff Hackel, hello. Good to talk with you as well.
Good morning. Good morning, gentlemen.
Well, let's talk about what you're about to announce here this morning, an extension. I guess the best way to put it is an extension of the partnership that all three of you enjoy in trying to battle crime together in our area and help out the citizens of the Tri-County region. Let's start with Sheriff Mike Bouchard on what's being announced here today, Sheriff.
Well, gosh, I'd always like to yield to my dad, Sheriff Evans, since he's our senior.
This is the Mike and Mike show, you know that. Mike and Mark, okay.
Well, Sheriff Evans, you want to take it away then?
I don't mind doing it all. It's been very clear in the last several years that we work very, very collaboratively together on just about everything, and we've formed partnerships that I think heretofore weren't even thought about in terms of the Tri-County region and the Tri-County area. And because we've done that and because we continue to work well together, we're today just indicating that we're going to support each other politically. We're all up for re-election, and it's only the right thing to do. It crosses party lines, it crosses lots of lines, but it certainly doesn't cross law enforcement cooperation. We're just here to say that we really support each other.
Well, Frank, I can't imagine anybody saying that better than Dad. That's what we affectionately call him to tease him. But Warren, Mark, and I have just been a really good relationship with all of us, and we never see a problem. If it's my problem, it's their problem, and vice versa. And in today's tight budgets and squeezed governments, it's better that we all work together and solve problems and share resources, and we've done that. So it makes sense when we've been ignoring political boundaries and geographic boundaries to serve our constituency that we do it in an election.
Sheriff Hackel?
Well, I look at these two gentlemen. I mean, for me, I was a younger sheriff coming in. I was new to this, understanding of, being the lead person in a law enforcement agency and just noticing their leadership skills and their abilities. Each one of them has different perspectives. I mean, Warren Evans with his background in law enforcement and, what he does with computer crimes. And then you look at Mike Bouchard with his legislative background. There's so much to draw from them, and it really helps me out on a regional perspective to understand more about how do we reach out to not just our constituency base, but to reach out to Lansing, to federal agencies to help us do it as we do. And then each one of us, I think, has this connection with our other law enforcement partners within our counties, meaning the chiefs of police, that we tend to draw from and share resources that I think go beyond what our capabilities might be with our limited resources. So, I mean, I don't know that I would have a better partnership with two other gentlemen than these two right now, and I'm very fortunate. Anytime I pick up that phone to call them, if they're not answering it right away, they're calling back to help me with an issue or at least partner with me to deal with some problems.
Well, you're reaching across party lines here, too.
Yeah, I think Mike put that probably best. I don't think there is any boundaries or party lines when it comes to criminal activity. And when you talk about criminals, they don't know the difference between boundaries, nor do they know anything about party lines. They're out there committing crimes. And law enforcement, I think, when you look at sheriff's positions, you look at prosecutor's positions, I don't understand why there's partisanship in it to begin with, other than the fact that that's how the law is written, because we have to reach out to the constituency base that's Democrat, Republican, to help us resolve issues. And that's exactly what happens with Mike Bouchard and Warren Evans and myself. We don't worry about politics. We worry about police work.
Well, exactly, and as it should be once you're in that job. But sadly, you have to campaign in the political world, and it gets nasty out there sometimes. And all three of you are shedding that with this agreement to sort of run as a slate here, I guess the best way to put it, over three different areas with different voters making decisions on your futures.
Yes, I'm comfortable with both of these guys with my life, so I'd be happy to be comfortable with them supporting me politically. I mean, if they've got my back in the real world, it's a wonderful thing that we've got each other's back in the political world.
Well, I think it's wonderful you're doing this for one another, and you're all favored in your reelection bid. You know, I hesitate to bring this up, but I must. You've all been mentioned for future other jobs too. Sheriff Bouchard, you've run for the Senate and have been mentioned to run for perhaps governor or the Senate again in our state. Sheriff Evans, you've talked about the possibility of running for mayor. Sheriff Hackel out in Macomb County, the executive position is going to be there up for grabs for somebody within a couple of years. There could be an extension of your cooperation on other political fronts down the road, couldn't there? We'll start with Sheriff Evans.
Well, Frank, I think, people mention you an awful lot when you work hard and you work hard for your constituents, and I think that really is what all three of us do. I mean, we just in the regional cooperation and dealing with the things that are going on, they go way past crime oftentimes. I mean, it's collaboration with business, it's collaboration with schools, it's collaboration with a lot of things that helps to pull the public safety component together. So I don't think any of us are naive about the realities outside of what we do, but I also know with those two guys like myself, we're really, really focused on policing our counties right now. There may be other options later, but right now we're cops and we enjoy it.
Sheriff Hackel?
Well, I think if you look at the three of us, we all have a passion for what we do, and when it comes to anybody who's into politics, you would hope that they have a passion for what it is they're attempting to do as well. And when somebody says, well, there's other potential for you, in other words, to run for another office, I don't really think about it. I'm not looking at it, but for the most part, when people do bring it up and they talk about it, you say to yourself, okay, why not? Because if there's something more I can do to help out with what I'm currently doing, in other words, whether it's a county executive position or Warren Evans wanting or people want him to be a mayor or Mike Bouchard, a senator, when you look at that, you think, okay, you know what? Not only can I continue to help with the efforts that I'm dealing with right now, but there's other things I can touch and kind of, assist with or help, like Warren was just mentioning here. So when I hear about those things, people saying, Sheriff, is there some possibility you might run for county executive? I don't just shut it down and say, no, I won't, because I look at it right now saying I absolutely love what I do. I love being a sheriff. I love police work. I love working with law enforcement agencies and the public. But if there is a potential in the future to do something like that, and I can add to it and maybe even enhance what I'm currently doing with a position like that, yes, absolutely, I would think about it and consider it. But right now, the three of us are running for sheriff. We're focused on that, and I think for the public, I think already knows that the three of us do a great job, not just within our own respective counties, but working together as a tri-county effort to deal with crime.
Sheriff Bouchard, last word on this one?
Yeah, I would just, obviously echo what they said, but also say this, that regardless of whatever role that either of them end up in, I'd be real pleased that they were there because I know that we'd have a great relationship and we'd be problem solving. I think people are tired of the partisanship and they're tired of the games and, to a lot of the public, rightfully so, they see this as a win-sim game, where who's on top and who's on the bottom and what gets lost is the people's agenda. And I know with either of those guys, that's not the case. And so, regardless of whether they stay where they are or they move up in the future, I know I've got somebody I can call and say, here's a problem, and they'll work on it.
Let me see how far I can get your bipartisanship to reach now for all three of you. Who's better for law enforcement, McCain or Obama?
Well,
Now they're looking for Dad again to start it out. Dad's not starting with this one.
All right, Sheriff Bouchard, you ended the last one. You can start this one.
Well, I think, we've got challenges regardless of who's in the White House convincing them of our agenda. I mean, right now, for example, burn grants were cut by 67%. And that's monies that go to all three of us as it relates to enforcing drug laws across the state and also substance abuse counseling and other things like that. And frankly, the House cut it out of the budget, and it was at the direction of the president. I'm not happy with either. So, we're going to stay focused on the issues that affect protecting the community and kick whoever happens to be the president, whether it's a Republican or a Democrat, in the shins when it's warranted.
All right, sure.
Yeah, I'd have to second that emotion as it relates to law enforcement for sure.
All right, Sheriff Hackel.
And then I would agree. I'm waiting to see with both of these candidates now that we're kind of down to the two candidates what their agenda is for law enforcement and public safety. And as Mike had mentioned, the COPS programs have been cut. I think we need more law enforcement now more so than ever before. And since the tragic day with 911, we've seen less law enforcement, less public safety in the state of Michigan, and that can't happen. There has to be a turnaround, and we have to have more public safety because crime issues are not going down. they're actually rising, and there's been more pressure put on law enforcement to deal with issues beyond what we were normally used to dealing with. And I'm looking to see which one of these presidential candidates is going to focus attention on what's going on in the homeland here in this region, as opposed to what's going on overseas, to help us deal with the issues we're facing with crime and keeping people safe in their own neighborhoods.
In the words of that PGA Tour commercial, these guys are good. So, thanks for being with us. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Frank.
Good luck to all three of you. Warren Evans, Michael Bouchard, and Mark Hackel, our three sheriffs of Metro Detroit. We'll talk again very soon down the road, I am sure.